Welcome back to On Right Podcast here. You have Elijah alongside Grant. We're going to hop into the NBA draft. Detroit Pistons won the draft as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure you agree. We came in strong with arguably two most athletic guys, two top 10 talents. I'm very excited to see where we're going to take this. We're going to recap the draft as a whole, but, I'm going to throw it over to you. A lot of excitement as a Pistons fan. We seem to be that hot commodity, kind of a talking point on ESPN and Fox Sports. And, we're kind of a sexy team to like right now.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because that's probably one of the first things I did like Friday morning is I jumped around like NBA TV, ESPN, got on YouTube and just started looking at like Detroit Pistons NBA draft, trying to see if those moves, made any impact on, sports media or thinking about, putting us more in the forefront. Just because obviously not a great team and haven't been a great team for a while. So we tend to kind of, those teams don't get talked about very often, but very impressed, man. I mean, I won't sit here and say I called it or anything, but like as soon as I found out Ivy had all them ties to Detroit, I'm just like, this is just a match made in heaven. Like hearing that, he didn't want to go to Sacramento. And we were pretty concerned that they were gonna, do things the way they do things, and um, try to just take him just because they think he's a good player to take and maybe trade out the pick, whatever. But yeah, as soon as I heard Keegan Murray or saw Keegan Murray's name on Twitter as far as going to the Kings, I was ecstatic. Was going to be pretty content with that just being it for the first round because I didn't, wasn't really expecting much else. And then you just look and see that we found a way to get Jalen Duren 8 picks later. So for very minimal, like we basically just helped take a contract off of the Knicks books and took a draft pick from them because that would be going towards the cap space they have. So I mean, we were able to help them out. I think we kind of finessed them, but I think we got like just a younger version of Ayton. I watched him quite a bit during the season, put up some highlights on this past weekend, and they played very well. I like his motor a little bit more than Ayton. So yeah, we were able to fill two important needs. Wish would have did a bit more of the second round pick, but I'm just so ecstatic about the first round. So it is what it is with that one.
Yeah, no. So I would say I completely agree. The Jaden Ivey is a match made in heaven. Yeah. He wanted to be in Detroit. He didn't even work out for other teams. He worked out for the first pick and then us. Yeah. And I would say that shows a lot. You could see the emotion on his face when he got drafted. You could just see that how bad he really wants it all. He was talking about in post draft. I heard him mention things like teamwork, defense, how he wants to be a defensive presence day one. And yeah. I've recently heard other people give a couple comparisons, and obviously this is an extreme example potentially, but I've heard people say, everybody always says Ja Morant, and you hear those comparisons. I heard a couple people over the weekend say that it would be more of, so you look kind of froze. It'd be more of a D Wade situation. And if he's anywhere, obviously near a D Wade situation, more defensive minded, tough nose, get to the rim. I mean, that is phenomenal for what we have going on. And then, like you said, Jalen Duren. I mean, who doesn't remember his play in the tournament? He really showed himself then. That's when I first really recognized him. I didn't watch too much of Memphis. Other than that, I didn't think early on I was trying to watch some of Monty Bates, I should say, but I don't. But he really stood out as tournament time came around, and just a phenomenal player. Super athletic, already like a true 7-footer, and I would just say that's something that doesn't come around very often. Mm-hmm. So. And I hate to say this about a position in the NBA, but if any position in the NBA is comparable to, like, let's say the NFL running back, it would be the center. As far as where you can get a guy and just that's serviceable if everything else is right. And just have him do a couple of things: protect the rim, rebound, run the floor. If you could do those three things fairly well, at 7 foot, 260 pounds, you have a spot in the NBA. And I definitely think Jalen Duren can do that. And that allows us to spend our money elsewhere. And so I definitely like that. I think Aiden is completely off the table now with that happening. And I have to say I'm kind of relieved by that. I do think we each sold ourselves on it to a certain degree. I know I did. And I do think that that would take our team in a different position. But I think that's kind of off the table now, and I like that we can go elsewhere with that money. Flintstone and Miles Bridges is being rumored, and I think you're looking at like the Showtime Pistons if that's the case.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think like you said with Aiden, I mean, we had both kind of talked ourselves into it, but it definitely was kind of like it's looking very likely, especially after that trade that Weaver made on the night before the draft, and um, yeah, I just love the fact of just being able to, keep the core. I don't. It's really been kind of like looking, reading some articles, and just kind of trying to figure out how active they do plan to be in free agency. But I just think, man, as long as we can just kind of continue to keep this core together, and maybe just try to, may have to move a guy here and there. That always kind of comes up, always won't happen. But this is very important for us to, obviously Cade, but like after that, like Sadiq. Um, I mean, I even think like Stewart, that's somebody we should definitely be, trying to hold on to. Some of those pieces. I mean, there's going to be, very instrumental, and I mean, I think that just the best part about it is you just got two kids that like they want to be there. Like that's some stuff I was reading just with Duran and Ivy is like they're like that's Ivy got the home, got the ties, just like from the family, but Duran is like, yeah, like, this is like where I wanted to go.
I guess you would try to keep like a twin tower situation and keep Stewart and Jaden Ivey. You would want to lock both of them. Obviously, we have Ivy for however long the contract is, but you would want to lock both of them up.
I think. I think I gotta like. I like Stewart a lot.
Probably won't be too much.
Contract. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I like him a lot. I mean, I think he could definitely have like a, rim protector, Ben Wallace type role. You know what I'm saying? I think, but sometimes, like you said, like the center position, it's just kind of. I mean, people want stretch fives, guys hitting the three ball. And I heard he's trying to kind of do some of that. This coming season, it was doing a little bit of it last year here and there, but like, I mean, he just doesn't really have like really an offensive game, if any at all. Which, I mean, I've been fine maybe like 10, 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Now it's kind of like, all right, it works for some teams. You got guys like Kevon Looney that are just kind of there rebounding and doing anything for Golden State. But it just kind of depends on what he can contribute just from like a all around standpoint. Because if there's I mean, Duran is 2 or 3 inches taller, and has just as good, way better offensive game already, in my opinion. So this depends on how what he can continue to contribute, and like, because if Bagley get resigned, somebody's going to start to and eventually get phased out in some situation, in my opinion. So we'll see.
No, I'm and I only ask because I think I would want to keep him. Obviously, the contract has to be right, but I do like him for a couple of reasons. I've always tried to favor players that did this, but just the enforcer type role. Yeah. He's quickly showing he's young and he's quickly showing, I'm nobody to play with. Obviously, him in the LeBron situation got a lot of hype nationally because it's LeBron. But outside of that, he got in 3 or 4 other activities that were, show that he's not a player that would necessarily back down. And I always kind of like to have those players on your team. You need one. And so if he can be that role as well as like be a tough nosed defender and rebounds and develop some type of offensive game, but if everybody else is doing what they're supposed to do, you just got to do what you're supposed to do well as well. Yeah. So I wouldn't be mad at signing him. I just wanted to know how you feel about that. And so I know the big talk of the town now is Miles Bridges. So how do you feel about Miles Bridges? Would you want to go max him out, bring him back home?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be all for it. A big fan of Miles Bridges. Obviously, we got to watch him quite a bit because we went to school right down the street at State. I just, it just kind of depends on what he's kind of trying to come in on. I feel like what kind of like. I feel like we're going to be a team to where we're just going to need Cade to be able to move the ball around. I think he'll be able to get everybody involved, and I think we got to just continue to kind of work on. Just working off each other. I could see us definitely being on like, run and gun teams, really getting up and down the floor. I just know, just kind of watching Miles and Charlotte. I mean, a lot of them guys were just kind of like ISO players, go get their own shot, type just really. really just playing a lot of ISO ball. Not to say he can't do, he can't play like, more wide open, just kind of like get the, pass the ball around, play like a different system. It just, it just kind of depends on like how willing he may be to do that, or what I'm saying, or like what that transition looks like, long term. But I think that would do numbers for the city. I think that'd definitely be a shot in the arm. Um, it's one of the things. It's kind of curious to see, who because is he like a free agent, or is he restricted?
I think he's a free agent, like just period.
Okay.
Not yeah. I watched a little thing with him and I watched a
Okay.
little thing with him and Draymond talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
On Draymond's pod. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's definitely.
I'm sitting there looking at it. I agree. All things you said are true. And I think that could be. I don't know. Maybe you do, but who's Charlotte's coach? I'm not exactly sure. I do know we have a real coach who won former coach of the year.
Right.
Can have a system. I think is great as LaMelo Ball is. I do think Cade might be slightly more, let's say, structured.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in general, and I'm not necessarily concerned by that. He played a couple years under Izzo. You don't get no playing time if you're not following the rules there.
Right.
So valid points, valid concerns, but I do think he could definitely figure it out. Whether some of those numbers might come a little down to earth, maybe, is a different question. But I still think he's very exciting. Can run the floor, and I would be very excited to see him and Cade in the pick and roll, him and Cade on fast breaks.
He can shoot the
him
three.
in a dunk contest in the Pistons jersey. It's things like that nature would be special. And I'm sitting there looking at it here just real quick. Came in the league 2018. He averaged 7 points. Next following year 13. Following year basically 13 again. Last year 20. And that is on 33% 3-point. Year before he was at 40%. Year before 33. So around bare minimum, like look like he's be in the 33%, which is definitely respectable enough.
Yeah.
When you're super athletic, and he's not one of them athletic, just real secondary. He's younger than us, I would think, maybe by a year or two. And so he's not old by no means at all. Those aren't shot knees. You don't got to worry about like a Blake Griffin situation. We're still getting pretty prime. Miles Bridges.
He can't be much older than 25. So I'm assuming. And like we definitely would need that shot in the arm. We just let go. We just traded away a 20 to 98. Okay, we just traded away a 20 to 22 point per game player. And you could just fill him right in there, because that's one thing now. It's like where's some of that scoring gonna come from?
Agreed. And a better 3-point shooter than I think. I would have to look it up, but I don't think Jeremy Graham was in the threes.
I don't think he's the greatest at that either.
And that's what we need: stretch the floor.
Yeah.
And take the top off the building.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it could work. I could definitely see that once that ball come off the rim, just really pick your poise. You got Jaden, Miles, and Sadiq running at you.
Yeah, you could have a lineup next year of Cade, Ivy, Bagley, Bridges, Jaden Durham, or Stewart. I think that's a pretty solid squad. I feel pretty good about that. And we talked about it a little bit beforehand, but these are other people's numbers that I'm looking at, but it said that if you sign Aiden, you don't have enough if you sign Aiden, you'll have to get like 2 or 3 veteran minimums.
Yeah.
If you sign Bridges, you can go get Bagley, and then you only are doing like 1 minimum after that. So I think I like the idea of a Bridges and Bagley combination with what we have. And then we have a great young core. Also keep in mind that the salary cap is probably going to get bumped again next year. So whatever you sign him for this year, in 2 years, probably won't even look at, regardless if it's a max now, that's going to get leveled up again. So I think we're going to be looking probably not that bad with any of these, with that contract.
Have you seen anything about Bagley? Like, is he okay with coming off the bench? So I don't know, because the more I think about him, like them re-signing him, like I feel like he's probably like, yeah, I should be starting. Like I think he's kind of like on the expectation that he should be starting. that's just one thing I just kind of be thinking about how, I mean, if we get Miles, like, would that impact him signing? Just, I mean, we started Miles Bridges over Marvin Bagley, like,
Yeah, for sure.
guaranteed. So,
Could
like,
you start both of them?
and then have Duran. You think Duran's starting, or you think he'd be kind of like
I think I'll have to not maybe not.
not right away?
No, I can't imagine, but there's also like one of the youngest dudes in the draft who's 18.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. I think probably Stewart, Olenek.
Yeah.
One of them two will probably get the start.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're probably right. Um. Yeah. No, that's something I just was thinking about because I think I mean sometimes
He definitely want to start.
Right, because sometimes you take that 6 man though. I mean that's easy to come in and just put the ball in the hole. All right, cool. Like it,
And I would be cool if I leveled up and got a good 12, $13 million a year. And then they said, all right, you're 25 minutes a game, 6-man, go get the 6-man of the year. I think that's a solid role. Especially if we're like a playoff type of team, I'm okay with that. It's not coming off the bench of a 22-win team.
I agree. Yep.
I'm off the bench of 38, 35, 40-win team.
Yeah.
You feel a little different about that.
I'm with that. Also heard Malik Monk, Pistons might be trying to go after him.
I like him a lot coming out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
He had one of the most crazy college games I've ever seen in my life. Remember when he went stupid for like 40 something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing with like, I don't know, I might be wrong with this, like, but this is something
flashes with the Lakers.
Huh?
He had flashes with the Lakers.
He did. I think my thing is now is like I think we're the youngest team in the NBA now. Like for me, it's like you start bringing in other guys they're not that much older, so they're not like in that like Miles Bridges ain't no like, and I won't say he's not, but I guess like when you look at like kind of like veteran leadership, you kind of assuming like somebody that's kind of been real seasoned in the league for a little bit. And I don't know, I just kind of be like thinking about like who they're targeting because you bring like a Malik Monk, which I think he'll go back to the Lakers just because he'll probably be able to start there or what I'm saying, like have better role there. But you ever think he'll kind of come in there and be like, well, like, I should be starting, like, I should be starting over Jaden. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess like what's your, and this is just hypothetically speaking, like I don't think we'll have any kind of issue like that, but like what are your thoughts there as we start to kind of even like expand this team and start bringing in more, because we want younger talent, right? And just like some veteran leadership as well. So what's your thoughts there?
So I just looked it up, and yeah, I mean we're stupid young, obviously. Oldest dude on the team is Olenek, he's 31. Then you got Corey Joseph is 30. Everybody else is like 23. Or so no, I agree, but no. So I think you obviously have to manage all of that. I can't. I do think it's weird. Like let's for instance, Miles Bridges in that weird place where he is a veteran, where he's been in the league like 5 years, but he's like 24.
Yeah.
So that is a weird like predicament to be in. So I do think you would have to just manage all of that. I also think some of our stars like Cade, he seems like he has a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Even Ivy, his mom's a coach. He's been around the game. He was like a leader on his team, 2-year player. So I think even certain players that we have seem to be fairly level-headed. Now, depending on who you bring in, you definitely can blow the top off of that. That's not something I'm too worried about, especially because Cade seems very level-headed, and honestly, Ivy does too, to be honest. Like, one of the more impressive things I didn't know until draft night was that his mom was a coach at Notre Dame, which is like that's just crazy to me, and how much of an impact that could have on just how he looks and views things.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, just kind of like hypothetically speaking, but I'm sure those conversations will be had, before these deals are signed, just kind of like what it is and what the situation is going to look like. But yeah, because part of me is just like, man, I'm just waiting for Draymond to be like, all right, probably, go get that Tennessee or that TNT bag real quick, do the podcast, but I might, finish a couple of years at home. You know what I'm saying? I just we just need like Udonis Haslam just in the cut. Just like like just
who's the oldest person we could bring back? You wanna bring back like Tayshaun Prince or something?
Darvin Ham.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
But I feel you on that. In general, I do think we could use especially somebody that is decent or could make like a Kemba Walker. Like theoretically, he could have a role like that where he could come in and I don't maybe, but he
that's
could.
like hypothetically stuff. Yeah,
But
just
like he can come in and have a solid type of role, and also
right.
he's a true veteran.
And Corey Joseph. I mean,
yeah.
Like if he stays, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be mad if he re-signed.
Mm-hmm. You do need those guys around, and also won't be
right.
pouting or whatever they ain't playing.
It was just to the point where he can't start anymore for this team. Like he is not. We can't disrespect Cade by having Corey Joseph next to him.
No,
so
when we win the championship, they're gonna be showing videos of that. Like, look, who the fuck is this dude? But no, I'm sorry. But yes, no, I agree. I think we're in a phenomenal place, and I think we just one last point I personally have is just how I was kind of confused at what Weaver was doing when we traded Jeremy Grant. Did make a lot of sense to me. We were talking about what the expectations were for that, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But now they see that was just the first. That was like the setting up the chess piece move, and that was just the first move before he checkmated it. And so I think that's something that it allowed me to have a little more faith and just trust the process a little bit more, and and just see what he's going to cook up. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I think for me it was kind of funny. Like Friday, I actually went and looked back at all of our past draft picks, because Henry Ellison, Caldwell Pope, Rodney Stuckey, Austin Day, like
it's a real bust.
Siku Dombaya, like he stepped in, and it's been hit from the jump. Like that first draft, I don't think we even had a draft pick just because of getting rid of Blake Griffin or whatever. So we kind of just had to kind of get up off some people and get some, work up some capital. But that next draft, he ended up getting Bay, Stewart. After that, got Cade. He was just
even people off the bench that I still think can have a role like a Livers. Obviously, we know a lot about him, or even a Garza had flashes where you're like, all right, this big dude could be okay.
He could be a formidable, 10, 12-minute guy. If he step in, like we just depleted, step in, give you 10 and 6, polished guys.
Polished guys, yeah.
Yep.
I love where we're headed with it.
It's just positive, and I think now
just fill out the roster, shooters. If you go get them out Bridges, bring them home. I think I'm on board for it 100%.
Yeah.
Salary cap's going to explode anyway in a couple like next summer. Might as well lock one up for one more time anyway. And then outside of that, I think we will. I said it earlier, semi-joking about it. Some real Showtime Piston type deal where we're going to be very exciting to watch. I think if that's the case, we legit have two guys that could be a dunk contest type of winner. I think Ivy could be in that ballpark, as well as obviously Bridges, if he wanted to, he could probably win it any year. And
he's got to hold off because it's going to be in Utah next year. So
Cade, no, wait till a circle back we got to get in Detroit.
Ooh, that'd be fire.
Yeah,
most definitely.
Yeah, you got anything else for the peoples?
That's it, man. We got Summer League. That starts July 7th. So that's something else to also look forward to. Got Darren and Ivey.
Yeah.
Yep, Darren and Ivey gonna be getting to it. I'm assuming we'll have Livers. He missed it all last year. Garza will probably be in there. I don't think they'll have Cade, Sadiq, and Isaiah. I think they kind of already proved themselves, so they'll probably be there supporting. But it's exciting. Like I said, we got free agency that gets popping off Wednesday, so we'll check back in with the people and talk a little bit more about that and go from there.
Yes, sir. All right. Peace.